On Global TV News Express, Katsina governor declares war on human trafficking and gender-based violence. In business, NEO's airline begins Lagos to Italy direct flights October 30th. On the foreign scene, Israel rejects UN probe findings on war. And in sports, Bayelsa Heartland Queens reach both quarter-finals. Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Express on Global Television. We're coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Queen Agaba. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and free to air on Nigecomsat. As Nigeria joins the rest of the world to mark this year's International Day of the Girl Child today, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, has called for increased attention and support for girls' rights worldwide. Chief of the Field Office for Southwest Nigeria, Celine Lafourciere, emphasized the importance of empowering girls and ensuring their protection, respect, and equal opportunities. This year's theme, Girls' Vision for the Future, reflects the findings of a UNICEF analysis that highlights the resilience and hopefulness of girls despite the challenges they face. The President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has declared that market forces would stabilize the price of fuel soon. Akpabio, who made the declaration during media briefing, hinged the market forces on deregulation of which, according to him, would not lead to significant increase in fuel prices. Kikeloma Okere has details.
President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, explained that the removal of the petroleum subsidy is a necessary step to redirect funds to more critical areas. Akpabio, who spoke in response to a question on the recent fuel prices by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, stated that the removal of subsidy means Nigeria will need to tighten their belts.
If you look at, I haven't actually assessed what is happening in terms of pump price increase, but it's not pump price increase, it's deregulation. If you are taking away the continuous subsidy and then you want people to pay for the actual price of what we consume, it means if you have 5 cars, you will now use 1 or 2. You understand? It simply means that you are going to stop the idea of subsidy in order to make sure that the monies are used for other things.
He added that an increase in product availability will eventually lead to lower prices. Kikeloma Okere, Global Television News.
Justice Emeka Nwite of the Federal High Court in Abuja refused the fresh bail application of the detained Binance Holdings executive, Tigran Gambaryan. Gambaryan's lawyer, Mark Murdy, senior advocate of Nigeria, previously argued on September 4th that his client's health is perilous. He stated that Gambaryan's required surgery for a herniated disc and psychiatric care due to depression and anxiety. Murdy requested a 6-week bail for Gambaryan to seek proper medical attention outside the prison, citing inadequate care in custody. Katsina State Governor Diko Rada has declared his readiness to combat human trafficking, sexual and gender-based violence, and violence against persons in the state. He made the declaration while hosting the State Task Force Committee led by the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Fadila Diko, in his office. Rada commended the task force for its achievements in rehabilitating victims and mitigating the effects of child abuse and trafficking in the state. The Federal Capital Territory Commissioner of Police, Olatunji Disu, has reiterated the command's commitment to continue engaging stakeholders to enhance security strategies and promote community policing initiatives. The commissioner made this known at assessment visits in Buari and Ushafa communities in Abuja. Global Television brings you details. On assessment visits to Buari and Rushafa communities in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Commissioner Police, Olatunji Disu, says the visit underscores the command's commitment to ensuring peace and security across the FCT, especially in communities facing challenges. He says the command will engage with traditional rulers, youth groups, and residents of Buari and Dushafa communities in addressing their concerns on security situations as well as evaluate ongoing deployment of officers.
This is a very big area, vast landmarks, and you can see the hills everywhere. So these are typical areas for this kind of crime we are talking about, kidnapping, robberies, and especially for these bandits that come around. I've seen the deployment. I've spoken with the DPO. I will, just like I mentioned to him some few minutes ago, we'll be deploying technology to assist us. We'll be flying drones. The drone team will be coming around to see it. We'll be taking coordinates of important areas so that officers who have not been here before can get instruction from us and move to areas quickly.
Olatunji highlighted the importance of collaboration with the community, urging residents to remain vigilant and report suspicious activities. For Global Television, Queen Agaba reporting. The Nigerian military has confirmed that another notorious terrorist leader known as Mai Hijabi and his combatants that terrorized communities in Taraba State have been eliminated on the battlefield. Director, Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba disclosed this at the bi-weekly media briefing with defense correspondents at the defense headquarters in Abuja. Kikeloma Okere has details.
According to the Director of Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, Mai Hijabi and his combatants who terrorized communities in Taraba State are now history, and same fate awaits several other terrorist leaders and commanders. It says during the week under review, troops neutralized 165 terrorists and arrested 238 persons.
Another notorious terrorist leader was eliminated on the battlefield during the week. He was known as Mai Hijabi. He and his combatants terrorized communities in Taraba State, and we have now made him history. The same fate awaits several other terrorist leaders and their commanders, as from this platform, sooner than later, we will be announcing that they've been taken off the battlefield.
It further reveals that in the South-South zone, troops arrested 35 perpetrators of oil thefts, denying them of stealing oil worth over 6 million naira and rescued 188 victims of kidnapping.
Discovered and destroyed 58 boats involved in crude oil theft activities, 39 storage tanks, among other items that were destroyed. Also destroyed 13 cooking ovens, 13 vehicles, as well as destroyed 65 illegal refining sites in the course of the week.
General Buba affirmed that battle damage assessment reveals that several terrorists hibernating at different locations were neutralized and their logistics destroyed. The military high command says the service is reassessing and making necessary adjustments to ensure peace and security for all citizens across the country. Kikeloma Okere, Global Television News.
The Federal Ministry of Justice, in conjunction with the Imo State Ministry of Justice, have embarked on the implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. The event, which took place in Owerri, Imo State capital, is aimed at ensuring efficient management of criminal justice institutions, speedy dispensation of justice, as well as protection of the rights and interests of suspects. We'll bring you details shortly. The Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja affirmed the judgment of the Federal High Court, which set aside the 800 billion naira budget passed by the Rivers State House of Assembly faction loyal to Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Fubara had presented the 800 billion naira budget, but the other faction loyal to the Minister of Federal Capital Territory rejected the action of pro-Fubara lawmakers, describing it as illegal. They had filed a suit before a federal high court in Abuja demanding that the act will be declared null and void. You're watching News Express on Global Television, coming to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. When News Express returns, Falana says fixing of fuel prices by NNPC illegal. Details of this and more after this break. Please stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. If you've just joined us, this is Global Television bringing you live broadcast of the News Express. In business, a Nigerian lawyer and human rights activist, Femi Falana, has knocked the decisions of Nigerian National Petroleum Company to fix prices of imported fuel and locally refined fuel, which are illegal, null and void. In a statement, Falana says the move contravenes the provisions of Section 205 of the Petroleum Industry Act. The federal government has granted permission to petroleum marketers to lift petrol directly from the Dangote refinery without going through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. This confirms the speculation that the NNPC will no longer be sole offtaker of the Dangote fuel. In a statement, the Minister of Finance and Chairman of the Naira Crude Sale Implementation Committee, Wale Edun, gave an update on the takeoff of crude purchase and product sales in Naira transactions. The Assistant Comptroller General, Nigeria Customs Service, Southwest Zone, Saidu Yusuf, disclosed the service's commitment to deploy available technological devices to achieve efficient border control and tackle smuggling headlong. Yusuf equally lauded the Ogun Area 2 Command for achieving a record of over 20 billion naira in revenue for the federal government between January and August, as against 14 billion naira recorded within the same period last year. Yusuf stated this during his appraisal visit to the command in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. China must adapt its behavior to solve an escalating tariff row with Europe, according to the EU chief Charles Michel, warning of the dangers of the dispute escalating into a full-blown trade war. The European Council president met Chinese Premier Li Qiang on the margins of a Southeast Asian summit in Laos as Beijing and the European Union imposed tit-for-tat penalties on each other's imports in a row about subsidies and protectionism. Michael says in an interview that after his frank and candid talks with Li, he hoped the deal could be struck in the coming days or weeks and warned that getting there could be tough. Still on the foreign scene, Italian flag carrier Neos Airline has announced its plan to commence direct flight operations from Italy to Lagos, Nigeria. The airline, through its handler SkyMaster, made this announcement at the launch of the airline's direct flight to Nigeria in Ikeja, Lagos, with stakeholders in the industry, regulators, and prospective clients. SkyMaster, an aviation service provider, noted that Neos Airline will commence its scheduled operations directly to Nigeria on October 30th, flying once weekly for the first month, while its frequency will be increased to 3 times by the second month of its operation. Israel has slammed a UN probe which concluded it was deliberately seeking to destroy healthcare in the Gaza Strip and abusing Palestinian detainees, branding the findings outrageous. The United Nations Independent International Commission of Inquiry says Israel had perpetrated a concerted policy to destroy Gaza's healthcare system. It added in a report that the country is committing war crimes and the crime against humanity of extermination with relentless and deliberate attacks on medical personnel and facilities. South African prosecutors say they will not pursue criminal charges against President Cyril Ramaphosa in relation to the controversial farm theft scandal that nearly brought down the president 2 years ago. A former spy chief laid a criminal complaint against Ramaphosa, accusing him of committing irregularities in trying to hide the theft of $4 million in cash at his game farm in the northeastern Limpopo province. The president denied any wrongdoing, saying that the money stolen from his sofa in 2020 came from the legitimate sale of buffaloes at his Fala Fala farm. The Palestinian government has called for the formation of an international investigation committee by the United Nations to investigate an outcome and come out, with a final report on those to hold accountable on war crimes committed before, during, and after October 7 attack. The Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdullah Abu Shawesh, made this call during a press briefing in the nation's capital, Abuja. Global television correspondent Anthony Mamadou tells us more.
October 7th has been described by Palestinian ambassador to Nigeria, Abdullah Abu Shawesh, as the Trojan horse that legitimized and justified the televised carnage. Thus, the need for an international investigation committee to identify the culprits of war crimes.
An international investigation committee must be formed by the United Nations to investigate and come out with a final report and hold accountable all those who committed war crime before, on, and after October 7.
He vowed that the final report from the United Nations International Investigative Committee will be accepted by the Palestinian Authority. He also challenged Israel and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to show proof of the alleged beheading of babies as claimed by Israel.
In a yearly base, they are denying our right to self-determination. This is the exact right that you in Africa, you in Nigeria here, gain your freedom 60 or 70 or in some places 50 years ago.
The ambassador decried the abuse of veto power of the United States, thus preventing the end of the carnage in Gaza and the Middle East amid efforts to end the war.
When it came to the Security Council, you all know that there is a big hammer there called the veto, used by America, United States of America, at the very last years for 6 times to block any motion, to block any move to put an end to this carnage.
As the Palestinian government calls for an international investigation committee to be formed by the United Nations to get those responsible for war crimes before, during, and after October 7 attack, it is hoped that justice will prevail. Anthony Mamadou reporting for Global Television.
France announced new curfew measures to quell civil unrest on its Caribbean island of Martinique, which has been hit by violent protests due to anger over rising living costs. The local French administration for Martinique says it was banning public gatherings until October 14 and banning the purchase of products that could be used for arson attacks. It added that protests had disrupted flights at Martinique airport and that as a result of that, flights were being redirected to the neighboring French island of Guadeloupe. In sports, Bielsa Queens and Hadland Queens have secured spots in the quarterfinals of the ongoing 4th edition of the Betsy Obaseki Women's Football Tournament. Both teams emerged as top teams in their respective groups to berth in the quarterfinal. Bielsa Queens demonstrated their dominance in Group B to finish with 9 points, while Hadland Queens of Owerri secured the lead in Group B, also with a maximum of 9 points. Cole Palmer has been voted as EA Sports Player of the Month for September 2024. The The announcement made via the official EPL website confirms that Palmer led the Premier League in both goals and goal involvement during September, scoring 5 times and providing 1 assist in just 4 appearances. Palmer's most remarkable feat came during Chelsea's 6-1 victory over Brighton and Hove Albion, where he set a new Premier League record by becoming the first player to score 4 goals in the first half of the match. As we end the Global TV News Express, let's take a look at some of our top stories. Katsina governor declares war on human trafficking, gender-based violence. In business, Neos Airline begins Lagos to Italy direct flights October 30th. On the foreign scene, Israel rejects UN probe findings on war. And in sports, Bayelsa Heartland Queens reach both quarterfinals. That's it on the News Express, and it came to you live from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. We're on DSTV, channel 365, Star Times, channel 276, and free to air on Nigecomsat. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms using our Global TV NG and other handles now showing on your screen. I'm Queen Agaba. Thank you for watching and see you again.